Hi, I'm Steve Corona, and I'm your host for this virtual internship. We're speaking with Ashley Castlman. She works for the City of Fort Wayne and Allen County in their communications department. Dispatch, 911 dispatch, it's known by several different names. And we're going to talk today about how you too might be able to work in this department. So what does it take? What is the hiring and selection process all about?
Well, the hiring process, they can go on to the City of Fort Wayne website to find the entry-level dispatcher posting where they can apply online. And as far as hiring, anybody with a high school diploma or a GED can apply. And you don't need to know anything about being a 911 dispatcher to work here, because we'll train you on what you need to know.
So what is the starting salary? What might a first month dispatcher make here?
A starting salary is $18.16 an hour, which is a lot. And you can make up to $26.60 an hour if you know everything.
Right. So what are the duties and responsibilities of a 911 dispatcher?
The duties and responsibilities include taking 911 calls, and you can take regular business calls if someone just wants a VIN check or they need a cat picked up by animal control.
So you get a range of calls.
Yes.
And tell me a little bit about the most important qualities that a dispatcher might have. I've got to believe that in some situations, these people are very emotional, out of control. They may be cursing, they may be crying.
Yes.
And you're on the other end of that telephone.
Yes, we have to be able to have a calm disposition. A calming voice is very helpful for somebody who is frantic. I mean, they're going through their worst day of their life, and we're there to help them. So we have to be able to have the calming disposition and attitude with them, and we have to keep our emotions in check.
Do you recall a phone call or two that you've received where there was a lot of emotion and you successfully were able to get that person through this crisis in their life?
Yes, there are several that I can think of. One would be, say somebody fell down a whole flight of stairs and their loved one is unconscious and they do not know what to do. They can't even think straight. So we have to have, or me, have to have a calm voice and persistence on trying to get them the help they need.
What did you tell the person on the phone?
Well, help's on the way. We ask where they're at, the address, what's their name, because using their name helps a lot with getting them to listen to what you're asking them.
People are very emotional. I mean, can they remember even their home address and where to send?
It's hard. And with that, we'll have to ask them, do you have a piece of mail? Because sometimes if they can just read it off of something, that will help.
What is a typical work day and work week like?
A work day is an 8-hour shift. Okay. It could be 12 hours if you pick up overtime, or even 16. And a work week, you work 4 days and then you get 2 days off. So your 2 days off are always changing.
What do you believe is the most important aspect of the job potential employees need to be aware of? What do they need to be good at?
They need to be able to multitask. They need to be able to be calm in difficult situations and willing to learn.
How do you evaluate performance?
When they are in training, when they're out on the floor with the trainer, they get evaluated every day on what they know and the skills that they have acquired. And then the supervisor actually conducts an annual evaluation on every employee.
Okay, I've just been hired in. I'm brand new. How much do you throw at me? I mean, how chaotic is it going to be? Do you try to get them to focus on a little piece of their job, or how does that all work?
Well, when you're first hired on, most likely the position you're going to learn first is call taking. And you might be put on city info and county info, which you're answering questions for officers, doing things for officers.
So these are essentially non-emergency calls?
You will be taking emergency calls.
You will be taking
yes.
some emergency calls.
A lot of them.
A lot of them.
Yes, but you're not thrown out on the floor when you're first hired on. you'll be in a classroom setting from 6 to 8 weeks.
I see.
Yep.
Okay. So what does success look like in this role?
Success is the officers get to go home safely. You feel like that you are able to help the public in the way that you can,
Yeah.
sending them help and answering their questions.
I really like this job. I've just started, but I am struggling. So what resources would you provide me in making me more successful and competent in the job?
Well, when you're hired on, you get a binder full of everything that you need to know. But it doesn't stop there. You have your coworkers that you can ask, because there's people that have been here for years and they might have gone through something that you haven't yet, obviously, as a new employee. But they're a good resource. And then there's files in the computer that every employee can access.
How long have you been in communications?
Over 11 years.
And you like it?
I love it.
So what do you see as the biggest challenges of this position?
I see the biggest challenge being, well, to remember everything that you've learned. But even if you don't remember, then there's always someone to ask. There's always a resource that you can look to.
What do you say are the biggest challenges? Are those?
Yes.
Okay. Are there opportunities for advancement?
Yes. When you're started out, you'll be trained as a dispatcher 1, which is just the call taking and sitting in info position. But then you can train up to learning all city, so that's city police channels and city fire, or all county, so that'd be county dispatching and the county fire. And even then, once you learn all those, if a supervisor position opens up, you can even go for that position.
Okay. This may be the same question, but let me ask it anyway. What is the typical career path? So you start, and if you could just go over that entry-level position to where you just talked about again before.
Okay, entry level, you get hired on, you go through the training process, you get released. You're on the floor, you are a dispatcher 1. So you just take calls or you sit in info position. Then you can train up to a dispatcher 2, which will be knowing city police channels and then city fire, or you can do county police dispatching, county fire, and then work your way up to supervisor. And there are times that we get coworkers or employees that come in here and they move on to being a police officer.
Are there professional organizations or degrees or additional training that you would encourage people to consider?
We have had employees that have had a criminal justice degree. We have had a couple employees that went through the public safety class at Anthis, which I teach on the side for 8 weeks. I
You
love
like
it.
that?
I love it
Why?
because I get to interact with the high schoolers and show them how much I love what I do and teach them a new skill, give them something to think about for the future.
Yeah. So what additional advice would you give to middle school and high school students that are interested in a career in perhaps law enforcement, emergency services? What might they do right now if they're in middle school or high school, if they want to learn more about this field?
They can look into doing volunteer at fire department, because that can be helpful with learning the signals and codes that we have. Taking the public safety class, Anthis has a lot of the fire and the police side of criminal justice classes.
That's a good option then, to take a look at what Anthis offers and to consider taking a class or two there.
Yes.
Final advice for students.
Work hard and don't give up, because it's a lot of information, but you're not the first person to have to do it.
When you were in high school, did you see yourself doing what you are doing today?
Absolutely not.
What were you going to be?
I was going to be a high school math teacher.
You're still a teacher today.
I am,
Neat.
just not math. But yes, still a teacher. So I enjoy it a lot. I still get that connection to be able to teach someone new, teach someone something new.